My name is Addie Ross, moderator extraordinaire. I've been involved with video production for over 40 years, which brought me to the conclusion it would be time for me to start my own podcast, doing what I do best, gossiping with my friends around a cup of coffee. With my research, I came across the most fascinating story regarding the Miller family of Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. In my research, I was able to contact and connect with John Paul Miller, and he has graciously accepted my invitation to an exclusive interview. Since we've become acquainted, may I call you JP? I've dropped the pastor part out of it because you told me that you've temporarily walked away from the pulpit. So JP, could we start at the very beginning of who you are and how you started your very own church? Now correct me if I'm wrong, but you were first stung by a radioactive spider that brought you the curse, or some say the blessing, of becoming a Spider-Man. Now you use your spider-like abilities to fight crime and to intercept danger and swing across websites without looking. So let's start at the very beginning. That's your father, Reginald Wayne Miller, and he's lived quite a colorful life with a number of bouts with the law. In 2006, he exposed himself naked to an undercover male policeman at a local bathhouse with the charge of lewdness and prostitution. Then in 2014, he was charged with labor and visa fraud and turning his then Cathedral Bible College into a labor-forced camp, which resulted in a 15-month prison term and $75,000 restitution to his victims. Miller explained to the Daily Mail at the time of his arrest he was not able to make bail because he never had more than a couple $1,000s in his bank account, and that his entire life was spent giving to helping others. Quite miraculous happened to you. In your own words, could you let our viewers know of this miraculous event?
God taught me how to play the piano when I was 10 years old. I prayed one night, and it was a Friday night, and I said a prayer because a bunch of horrible stuff happened in life. And I said, God, if you teach me how to play the piano, I'll play in church. And the next morning, up cereal, cartoons, that kind of thing. And all of a sudden, I walked by the piano, and there was sheet music there because my dad has a master's in music. And I knew exactly what to do when I saw the sheet music. I put my fingers on the piano, and I can play anything that's written on paper. And some people think I can play by ear. I can't play by ear. That's why I can't sing, because I'm a little bit tone deaf. But I have a photographic memory to music, and I learned music theory overnight. So that came from God. My jokes, that's all me.
There's more I can say about your father, but let's talk about you. It's been penned that fruit doesn't fall far from the tree. But you also have had your own troubles with the law, starting allegedly by running over a woman twice in 1998 at a high-speed rate, in which you did plead guilty with an assault and battery charge, a Class C felony. Besides the miracle of music, another miracle happened to you. Although no federal, state, or local government determines any licensing or certification requirements for church leadership, instead, you became a pastor with only knowing a very few scripture verses. You didn't meet the educational or experience requirements, but the cool part is that your dad owned some property, and he also owned a church that he gave to you. Well, during that time, you were married to a lovely lady by the name of Allison. It was discovered that you were having an affair with your then babysitter that you had known since she was 14 or 15 years old, and rumor has it you were grooming her from day one to be yours. According to a bombshell report by the Daily Mail, your ex-wife Allison accused you of committing sex acts with children under 16 and that you have an addiction to prostitutes. She also said in that affidavit, our marriage and my husband's career were less than stable at the time, because at the time my husband's affair was discovered, he had previously admitted to both me and the congregation that he had an addiction to prostitution. Well, the church decided you needed to go, but you can come back with some counseling, which you declined. But you didn't really need to, because when you own the building, you are the pastor and you make all the rules. At the end of your first marriage, a video surfaced that has now been seen around the globe. I'm going to let us all take a look at that.
Are you okay?
I guess you were mourning the loss of your wife, although you had this affair going on. Let's dive more into your personal life as a father of 5 kids. At first, a son born illegitimately, and then 4 more with your first wife. There is little to be known of your offspring, but your eldest son had his own troubles with the law, namely domestic violence.
I'm not crazy, I'm just a little unwell. I know right now you can't tell, but stay a while and maybe then you'll see a different side of me. I'm not crazy, I'm just a little impaired. I know right now you don't care, but soon enough you're gonna think of me and how I used to be me.
Allison and you had built a church with many parishioners, but many left when she did. So onward until Plan B. I briefly spoke about the young woman who you were having the affair with, who coincidentally was your best friend's wife, the very same woman who years before you were grooming. Another coincidence is that you both filed divorce on the very same day. What a coincidence. Her name was Micah. Much is said about this wife, including that you have said you fell in love with her the day you watched her walk down the aisle to marry your best friend, Jeremy. That's not your regular courtship. Eventually you were married, and with time, either people forget or they forgive, or they never knew the story in the first place, the good story of Pastor and Mrs. John Paul Miller. So together, you had to start growing the church, because many people left when they found out about your affair. But music helps grow a church. And with your piano playing, the contributions, the attendance started to grow. Besides the church, you also helped start a grill and bar, unlike any pastor I've ever known, called the Crocodile Rock. Much will have been said about that. Although Micah brought many talents into the church, this marriage was anything but healthy. She reported to friends, family, and eventually an attorney of the severe abuse and her desire to divorce you. History has also repeated itself, and now you were cheating on Micah with someone from the church, but you described it as just merely good friends. Well, not quite 2 months after you were served with divorce papers by Micah, she sustained a fatal injury to her head. JP, your story is totally captivating, but truthfully, I'm exhausted, and I'd like to continue this another time with you. I understand that you are following in O.J. Simpson's footsteps and finding out who and what really happened to both of your wives' demise. Until then, as Spider-Man would say, with great power comes great responsibility. Thank you, JP.
Hi, my name is Addie Ross. You probably remember me from the 1949 Big Cinema black and white movie where I star in the movie One Letter to Three Wives. If you so kindly would subscribe to my new channel and give me some thumbs up, it's going to really help me. Remember, I'm an old lady and I need help with my Social Security. So until then, thank you, Marvel Comics, And thank you so much for putting up with me. We'll see you on the next round. Bye-bye.